Good morning, Sunday morning. This is another episode of TechRaptor's Weekly Rewind. I'm Nick, and yeah, let's get into it. It looks like the Nintendo Labo is deado. Earlier this week, or I guess last week if you're watching this on Monday, Twitter user AK Family Home noticed that the official website for Nintendo Labo has been snapped out of existence. While this isn't an admittance by Nintendo that their premium cardboard game is discontinued, and the general lack of support over the last year kinda shows that the writing may be on the wall for this one. For those of you that don't know, Labo was Nintendo's experiment in a DIY gaming experience where you would purchase premium cardboard sets, create a robot suit, a piano, and a VR headset that, quite frankly, really wasn't that great. While this is the most Nintendo thing ever in more ways than one, if you're a diehard collector of Nintendo things, you probably want to pick this up now, because once scalpers get a hold of it and it's officially discontinued, those prices are going to go up. RIP to a real one. Let's get into the next story. Square Enix is not for sale. So it turns out Square Enix is not for sale. Earlier this week, it was reported by Bloomberg that Final Fantasy publisher Square Enix would be up for sale. It was quickly shot down by the gaming giant themselves. In a press release, Square stated that, quote, "Bloomberg has reported today that there is interest from several buyers to acquire Square Enix. However, this is not based on any announcement by Square Enix Holdings Company Ltd. We do not consider selling off the company or any part of its business, nor have we received any offer from any third party to acquire the company or any part of its business." It looks like Bloomberg may have taken a major L on that one, but let's be fair here. With the nature of the industry, it's not that difficult to believe that a company as big as Square could be bought. And since Bethesda was recently acquired and Roblox is worth more than most developing nations, yeah, I'm not gonna blame them on this one. Either way, it looks like the gaming giant is here to stay. Not like it was going anywhere, but you know what I mean. On to the next story. The PS5 is now the fastest selling console in US history. Yeah, you heard that right. The PS5 that literally no one can buy except for scalpers has somehow become the fastest selling console in American history. Jokes aside though, it looks like the PS5 is on its way to another successful generation, but you can't count out the Xbox though. In a report based on NPD sales, it looks like hardware sales across the board are up 47% since last March, and the games industry earned a whopping $1.8 billion more than last year. That is so many copies of Animal Crossing. No word on how the Xboxes are selling, but when you consider that all three consoles are impossible to buy, it's not hard to believe that Microsoft's split lineup isn't too far behind. Now, if I can only actually get a PS5, that'd be great. But until then, I guess I'm an Xbox fanboy. Not to count Nintendo out of this week's news though, although I did already talk about them. But hey, that segue kind of worked in my head, so we're gonna go with it. The Super Seducer saga is no longer coming to the Switch. In a totally unsurprising revelation, it looks like the Super Seducer trilogy, try saying that one 3 times fast, is not getting a release on Nintendo's family machine. While the games are reported to have been approved, it looks like Nintendo stepped in at the 10-yard line and said no. Super Seducer is a pretty interesting set of games. Me and Alex looked at it in episode 1 way back when for TechRaptor, and we found out that it was more campy than creepy, but ultimately I really don't think it's the right game for this platform, because, you know, kids and all. Either way, if you want to play the self-help adventures, you're gonna have to check it out on PC, but not Steam though, because it was kicked off there as well. Series creator Richard Loruna, when he addressed the cancellation on Twitter, he said, quote, "I'm not so surprised, and do not blame Nintendo. It was probably due to Steam and controversy worries. Looks like the Nintendo family-friendly brand is safe once again. And if you want your creepy dating simulator, you're probably gonna have to settle with Pantsu Hunter." Seriously, I don't know how this game made it on the Nintendo, but yeah, here we are, 2021. Okay, let's get into some tabletop games. It looks like a Metal Gear Solid board game has been discovered and then canceled. As revealed in a Reddit post, a board game art studio page recently revealed artwork for several canceled projects. Among these was a board game titled Metal Gear Solid Psycho Mantis Battle. The game was going to be a competitive 1v1 game where Snake fights Psycho Mantis just like in the actual game. It was also going to include miniatures, original artwork, and the more I read about it, the more angry I get. In good news though, it looks like this tabletop game is getting a second life thanks to its new publisher Blacklist. The bad news though is that unless they get the Metal Gear licensing, it's probably not going to involve Snake or Mantis. While it's a bummer, I have played a few tabletop games that were totally mimicking another IP, and yeah, cut it a little close here on this one. But yeah, it was still really fun, and quite frankly, as long as the game is cool and they can get the look right, I definitely think I want to check it out. Oh, Konami, why won't you just give us what we want for once? In this week's final story, it looks like a Persona game is finally coming to your phone, if you're in China. Earlier this week, Game publisher Perfect World announced that it was working on a new game called Codename X. While the game right now is called Codename X, there is a little bit of binary code in the trailer that spells out Persona X. So yeah, it's a safe bet to say that the game's probably going to be called that. Not much else is known about the game outside of the super rad trailer and a few tidbits Daniel Ahmad has bestowed upon us. Either way though, it's about time a Persona game hit mobile, and here's to hoping Perfect World pulls a Genshin Impact and releases it stateside, because honestly, I need a new excuse to melt my battery. And with that, we close out this week's Weekly Rewind. Until next week, I've linked a few interesting features that we pushed out last week that's totally worth reading, such as why PlayStation is losing its roots, and how Animal Crossing ushered in an age of endless games. I mean, life's kind of an endless game if you really think about it. So yeah, be sure to hit that subscribe button, or don't, it's up to you. We're not gonna force you to do anything. And until next time, take care.